Welcome to the Saddle Talk Podcast, where country living meets real talk. Authentic stories, meaningful interviews, and down-to-earth wisdom with a little Southern charm. Saddle up!
All right, welcome to another episode of the Saddle Talk Podcast, where we talk about life, health, and what's possible when we look beyond the noise. Today, I got a special guest. His name is Curtis Cannon, all the way from Birmingham, Alabama. Kurt and I go way back to 7th grade. We were just talking about that. So we've known each other for a long time, from 7th grade all the way up to high school. And now we are reconnecting with each other in our professional careers. Curtis is the managing partner of Access Recovery, and it's a consulting firm dedicated to bringing occupational health and stress management programs to the workplace. And we know we all need that. So, hey, Kurt, man, I'm glad you're here, man. Happy to have you here and reconnect with you, man. How are things going?
Going well. Thanks for having me, Travis. Good to see you again.
Yeah, I know, right, man? So give us a little bit of background about yourself.
Yeah, well, you mentioned it. We're well into the health and wellness space. My career kind of spans back a few decades, where I worked at Blue Cross for 12 years, and then after that, I was a broker, employee benefits broker for a firm here in town in Birmingham. In 2019, pandemic kicked in. A year later, after I started my business in 19, and then got into some worksite testing, doing a lot of stuff in the workplace, COVID testing. And it rolled into this platform where we say, let's just address some of the health and wellness needs at the workplace. So many people need that type of access to care, and the workplace is where they spend a lot of their time. So let's just go there and help as many people as we can.
So wait a minute, you started this business at 19?
In 2019.
But 2019, I was about to say, man, that's pretty ambitious. So is this what you studied in college? Or is this something that you always done,
Well,
or you've morphed in something different?
It kind of evolved over time. When I started my career at Blue Cross, that's kind of where everything started with regard to healthcare space in that industry. And then as a broker, I started to see more and more where there are gaps in care, where people couldn't get the care that they need. So I said, you know what? And in 2019, I finally made the leap to start my own company, and that's how Access was born. And so we wanted to bring healthcare to the work site where people spend most of their time, because so many guys, they work in the plant, and other people, they work in the plant so long, they don't have a chance to make an appointment to the doctor. So we say, hey, why don't we make it easy for people to get the care and services they need? That's how it started. And then, of course, the pandemic kicked in a year later, and that kind of changed everything. But we finally got back to what we were kind of designed to do. So that's how it started.
So how did you go about getting all this set up, man? This sounds pretty big. Like, I really didn't know. I mean, I knew you did something similar to this, but I didn't know how big it was. So, I mean, is it just in Alabama, or do you like service like all over the place, or, all over the United States?
Yeah, we can go anywhere, because our model is simple. We'd like to contract with local talent. So there's physicians and doctors and support and clinical people in the area. We like to contract with high quality doctors that are local, so the trust is there with the employees. That's what we love to do. So we're regional. We're actually national, but I focus on a regional footprint. So that's Atlanta, Huntsville, Birmingham. That's where we spend our time.
Okay, like, do y'all have like any events or anything like that? Do you all do you all come out and speak, or is it like a process when say a company reaches out to you? So how does that whole process work?
All right. So basically what we would do is we'd find a connection or a lead into a company, determine, if it's something that we can do. We call a discovery sit down meeting, identify some areas where people are having pain points, whether that's high costs, whether that's employees not kind of getting the care they need, or they need health screenings or drug screenings or pre-employment screenings. We do all of that. So we identify the need, and then we gather the support personnel to meet that need. Also, the stress management component of it, which is the part that I really get into, is we have local mental health therapists come in and do these workshops. So again, we contract with people that are in the area. So if you're in Nashville, if you're in San Diego, no matter where you are, we have a network there, people that we could tap into. And we bring those professionals to the work site to do the programs and the workshops to help people navigate these parts of their lives. So it's really, the model is broken up into three parts. It's primary care, injury prevention, and mental health. Those are our three pillars, right? So we're excited about it. But you know what? To kind of dive into the next point you mentioned was the events. We're
Hmm.
really proud of a local community event that we have. It's called the Man Cave, and it's a men's mental health
Well,
summit.
I saw you post that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a pretty cool concept, man.
yeah, it's huge, and it's really taken off here lately. We're in our third year, coming up to our third year, and we invite the men in the community to come in, bring their sons, their nephews, their cousins, bring them all in, and I get my panel of therapists, the guys that I have working the workshops on occasion, and we just sit down and have what we call barstool discussion,
Hmm.
barbershop talk, barstool discussion about the things that impact men specifically, right? It's so critical that because a lot of men, we don't reach out, we don't talk about these areas that impact our
Yeah, you're
lives.
right.
So we have to really create a space where we feel like we're at I hate to use the word safe place, but there's nothing like a man cave, right? To make you feel, like you're in the right place to kind of share these ideas and thoughts and feelings. So
I
we're
think we touched
excited.
on this a little earlier. Like, when you are a man, a lot of people don't realize that. I know, like, we're man, we're supposed to endure, but we
Right.
have our issues and we have our like problems or mental where
Yeah.
sometimes, man, it can be heavy on us. And when you are the head of the household, you really can't go to your spouse, even though they say you can talk to me
Right.
anytime, or if you have any situations, you can come to me. But that's not really the case because I think you stated earlier because then they might get in panic mode and feel like,
Right.
okay, well, is he still
Right.
going to be able to provide, or what are we going to
Right.
do with the kids? Because women, they're going to. So the man provides and the women are the nature nurturers, as it's
Yeah.
set up in the Bible, whatever anyone
Yeah.
believes. But
Yeah.
so it's like, if she's paying attention to the kids, she's like, well, I got to make sure the kids are okay. So if he's doing bad, you know what I mean? Then she go into panic mode. And
Right.
it's like, us men, we don't really have that outlet. So it is good for us men to gather with other men so we can help solve situations that we may be facing that other men have gone through.
Right, right, and that's really the idea is for guys to get together and share these challenges because what tend to happen, it never fails. You get into this environment, you feel kind of connected to guys that sharing a similar story to you. Like they're talking about their divorces, they're talking about their financial issues, they're talking about
Right.
the issues they have at work. So again, you don't have to even share it, but you're learning so much just by sitting amongst guys who's been through it, who's done it, and then learning from the therapist, the mental health therapist, the guys that say, hey, this is how I've navigated a few guys that were in these areas. So it gives them a roadmap on how to kind of get out of this dark place. Not to mention, we provide an opportunity for the attendees to talk directly to the therapist during the
Wow.
course of the workshop. So they're able to exchange information, contact information, and maybe make an appointment on their own so they can talk privately. But when I tell you that the event is really taking off because a lot of men need this, but they're not going to tell you they need it. You know how this goes. We don't
Yeah,
talk
man.
about
Yeah.
it, right?
Well, I
So
think that stems from
yeah,
we train from when you're young, you're taught like to be a
yeah,
man, be tough. Like, you
yeah.
don't talk about this, you don't talk
You
about
know,
that.
they say, Travis, man up, don't speak up, just man
Yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
especially like, during our era, I think our era was the last era, well, maybe like a couple of eras after us, that didn't have social media, man. And I was telling my son, because, me and him talk a lot and he was talking about football and I was like, man, you know, if you were playing football when I was in high school trying to play
Yeah.
football with Coach Partridge and them, man,
Yeah.
you probably would think they were crazy and stuff.
Right.
But like, sometimes I think like, like I'm hard on my son. I want him to be a man, but yet still I do want him to open up to me with things that he's going through. And I think that like what y'all doing is good because I think more fathers need to, instead of like, yes, you do need to teach your son to be a man, and you do need to teach your son to, handle business, in a manly fashion. But
Right.
also, I think the flip side of that is like, hey, if you're going through something, then you could talk to me because I've probably already been down that road. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think
Absolutely.
that you're feeling
Right.
a void, man, that really needs to be filled. And I didn't even know the extent of what you did, man. So that's
Yeah.
one reason why I started this podcast because I know a lot of people as yourself who do a lot of positive things, but
Yeah.
maybe everybody isn't exposed to what you do. I know a lot of people
Right.
that probably would need your service, or a
Hey,
lot of businesses that would need your service.
Absolutely. Well, it kind of started from the workshops. So the
Hmm.
workshops that we did in the workplace, we were seeing so many guys approach our therapists and say, "Hey, man, I love this message." We have a 5-part series that we take to companies called Hope for the Holidays. So it's a 5-part
Okay.
series that talk about grief, depression, isolation, loneliness. The men in particular would come to our guys and say, "Hey, listen, man, I'm struggling in these areas. You talked about, I just got a divorce. I'm losing custody of my kid. I'm kind of in this place where I don't have a place to live. So I need this type of support." We were hearing that so much, it just turned into a natural thing for me to say, okay,
Wow.
let's fill a need. Let's get in the community, promote an opportunity for men to come into a place. We take over a movie theater, just so understand the environment here.
You
We
are
take
a
over
movie theater?
Yeah, we'll take over the whole movie theater, and I'll go ahead and pay for like the popcorn and soda, free popcorn. We just want you to show up and just listen and just absorb the message, and then exchange and add to it if you feel the need. But again, this is something to where we have to start addressing needs of men, because we understand they're also the backbone of our community and families.
Right,
So
right,
if the men are taken out of the household or they're ineffective, hey, it's biblical as well. They attack the men through different means, Satan. So
right.
we have to make sure that we do our due diligence to take care of the guys that's taking care of our families.
Right, yeah, because men are the builders, and I don't want to take away from what women do, but everybody plays a role.
Right.
Everybody, men need women, and women need men. But it's just kind of like, but with the men though, women are taught to be like expressive and like emotional, but men, like we're taught to hide and suppress everything. And a lot of
Right.
times, man, when you suppress it, it might come out in different ways, man. So
Anger.
that's why you
Yeah.
have like a lot of guys who might be probably abusive in the household, or might turn to alcoholism, because they
Right.
don't know any other way to express it,
Right.
and that or drugs, and that might just
Right.
come. And sometimes it's not even about like it's a lot of times it's probably just about like I just need somebody to listen to me and who's not
Right.
going to judge and think that I'm less of a
Yeah.
man because I'm
Right.
going through this. I got all these emotions running me and these feelings or whatever, but I'm taught to suppress them. But I just need to get them
Right.
out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you would be surprised how much that really is the bottom line. Is that I don't necessarily want to talk about what I'm feeling. I really just I want for people to just get it, that I don't have to explain myself to. And when
Right.
you're amongst guys like us and we're talking about stuff that you say, okay, they get it. They don't have to convince me that they understand. They get it. First of all, there's a connection to understand, okay, they're a man, but when you actually sit down and listen to the stories, you'll say, I don't have this guy understands what I'm dealing with. And without you having to even say anything. And another point about how important this is to men in particular is that, we're bringing up another generation of sons and daughters, and we have to have a way to communicate to our kids that allow them to feel safe with bringing their problems. You'll be
Yeah.
surprised how much stuff is generational, whether it's anger, whether it's just whatever abandonment feelings that they have, because a lot of this stuff starts in their childhood. So when you talk to a therapist, a lot of times they'll go back to your childhood, right? You hear that
Oh yeah,
because a
yeah.
lot of things are tied to what were the first impressions upon you? Was it abandonment? Whether was it a lack of trust, isolation, whatever? So we have that stuff unpacked in that environment, man. I tell you, a lot of men have responded positively, saying, if I knew it was going to be like this, I would bring the guys in my church, the guys in my fraternity. Like those guys actually are actively recruiting other men to do this.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Hey, man, that is amazing. I did not know he was doing this on this level, man. That is
Yeah.
pretty good. So,
Yeah.
like, when you go to businesses, like, how's that set up? Like, I know you
Yeah.
said, like, you have events where people in the community come in. So, how
Yeah.
is it when you go to different like businesses? Like, how's that conversation go about? Because in a business, I know there are women there too. So it's like
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
slippery slope with that.
Yeah. It's a completely different place. So when we're approaching business or what we call prospecting, I go to a lot of different human resources events, conferences. I actually will sign up as the speaker and talk a bit about what we do, but I keep it strictly along the lines of employee health and well-being, right? So we focus on the services that are related to on-site care, whether that's health screenings. We do vision screenings, by the way. We do
Okay.
pre-employment. Yeah, we do pre-employment physicals, and we also do injury prevention programs with a physical therapist on site, showing ergonomic flexibility, kind of treatments and solutions to pain points in your body, first aid. We do all of that. So we keep it focused on site care and what we consider to be on site health and safety. So now, when it comes to the workshops that I talked about, that's another layer to it because there's so much toxicity in the workplace. People are burned
Man,
out.
yeah, you are
I
so
mean,
right, man.
you know how it is, right?
Yeah.
People come to work, but they bring their problems to work, and the
Mm-hmm.
stress, the frustration, the lack of communication, the argument, the burnout, all that stuff happens in real time at work. So when we focus on these type of solutions for the workplace, now the man cave in and of itself is strictly a community free access to recovery, giving back to our local community event.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're actually going to be in Atlanta this summer in July. And I may revisit and talk to you about that later. But we're going to be in Atlanta because we've received some interest in some guys in Atlanta that know what we do. To say we need that here for the men in our community. So we're going to do
Man, you
that.
should bring that to Nashville, man.
Hey, and I love it. And the guys that I have, they travel. You know, these guys are all independent therapists. They gotta have their own practice, so they can get on the road, and we can do this as much in many places as we need to. It's
So
a need.
what was
Yeah,
that like when you were building it? Like, how did you meet all
yeah,
these like therapists and all these like, like to
yeah.
get them to get on board and stuff, Like, what was that pitch like? Like, hey,
Well, let me. I'll
I
tell you
got an
real.
idea.
I'll tell you real quick. You know, one of my best friends is a therapist. I've known
Okay.
him for 32 years. He was a therapist, and I kicked the idea to him. I said, I'm hearing a lot of this stuff in the workplace. When I'm doing my stuff at the company, I mean, black, white, doesn't matter. They all were coming with these issues. A lot of it were around finances and around relationships. And I said, hey, man, we need to think about maybe putting together an event that addressed this. And I just thought it would be a nice thing to do just for the local community because of what I was hearing. Right.
Wow.
It turned into a thing where, as I spoke at these different conferences and I was going to these different events and speaking about access, and I brought up this event, much like what I'm doing here, the draw, they would love the business, obviously, but the draw would be into that program. Because again, they have sons, they have nephews that are struggling and themselves, they really just don't know how to or what to expect. And that's another thing is that we have video on our website. That's another thing we'll kind of share later on is that we have a
Okay.
website and we load up videos of how the event plays out. So we took promo video. You'll get an idea of who the therapists that we typically use. But again, any therapists that want to be a part of this, we invite them. I would typically, I typically invite the therapists that I work with because I know their method of delivery.
Right,
I'm
right,
familiar
right.
with them. I'm comfortable with them. So normally I just reach out to guys that I've already contracted with for certain jobs and say, hey, I'm doing this event this year. Would love for you to come on and do this for. They'd be more than happy
So
to.
what about like so have y'all thought about like, going to the college level and even maybe like the high school level, man? Like, it's a lot of kids that's going through they might not have a father in the home,
Yeah.
or in college, man, college can stress you out too, man. Trying to find yourself socially and then still trying to balance your education and things like that, man.
One thousand
So
percent. Yeah,
yeah.
1,000%. We're actually one of my clients is Tuskegee University. We support their
Hey
student health.
man, that's great. I graduated from Tuskegee,
Oh,
man.
do you? Okay, good, good.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
We actually have people in the student health center working, like doing healthcare. So
Okay.
we have a nurse practitioner down there, and what I'd like to do is do more work like this. But of course, it takes funds. The funds, what we do typically with Man Cave is just out of my pocket. But that's why I started Man Cave as a nonprofit here in the last couple months. I opened it up as a 501c3 because we want to see if we get grants and other support
Hmm.
to build the community more. It just need more funds to broaden out. And that's why we hadn't done a lot of stuff out of the state because again, I'm just funding it myself. But we would love to get a strategic partners, other organizations, agencies, and companies that have a high value stake in providing mental health needs to the community, whether it's UAB, whether it's behavioral health or whoever. We would love to partner with those companies, allow them to bring their whole booth and vendor
Hmm.
setup, and then just hand out pamphlets and resources as well. there's always the need to fill a gap. So it's not just the guys that we have there, but we want this to be almost like a community initiative where if it's UAB, if it's Vanderbilt, if it's whoever, they can bring their booth and then just engage the guys. Because again, it's a free event and we make it
Okay.
as comfortable as possible for everybody.
So when you were in college, what did you study in college? I'm just
Oh,
curious. Did it have to do with any?
psychology.
Okay, okay,
Psychology. Yeah, I went to
okay,
Jacksonville State. Uh,
okay.
I, I majored in psychology, but then I got out into the world and found out, okay, you really wasn't getting paid a whole lot in that field.
Oh
So
yeah,
I got
nah,
in.
man,
Yeah.
yeah. 'Cause I majored in biology, man, and like some of the stuff that you
Okay.
talk about, like I got a friend of mine, Shamika. She was a Chem E major, and she kind of does wellness, what you do now, but she does
Mhm.
it with fitness as well too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I was just curious. I'm like, what was your major? But psychology, yeah, that makes sense. So yeah,
Yeah.
when you got out in the when you graduated, then I guess this started your journey. So
Yeah.
what were some of the lessons you learned along the way, man, to as while you were building this whole phenomenal thing you got going? I mean, I'm really like impressed, man. It's pretty good.
Well, one of the largest lessons I learned is that money will not fill gaps that dealing with people and helping people will. Like when you help people with the challenges they have, and that's kind of where I got to when I was going through my career. I got to a point where I was satisfied financially and doing all the things I wanted to do, but there's a lack of fulfillment. There's a lack of
Yeah.
purpose. That hey, what I do matters, and that's so important that it's not just about you, and it's not just about meeting your goals, but as you get older, you tend to identify reasons why you need to be making more of an impact, leaving a better mark, and leaving this world better than
Right. Yeah.
that was
I
heavy
agree
upon me.
wholeheartedly, man.
Yeah, that was heavy upon me. So when I'm gonna actually tell you that, during the course when I went through my divorce, that was kind of my door to a new life
Hmm.
because everything changed. There's like a different person that was birthed in that dark place. And that was in 2021. And
Okay.
when I tell you that
That's not too long
that's
ago.
only been a few years ago. So
Yeah.
I refocused everything that I was and had become up until that point. I completely dedicated to making a shift because I wanted my work to be meaningful. I was making good money in the insurance business and being a broker. All my goals were met, but I had nothing that I felt like I contributed to the world. And this
Hey,
was my
I feel you
opportunity.
on that, man.
Yeah. This was my
Wholeheartedly.
opportunity.
That's one
Yeah.
reason why I started this podcast, man, because it's
Yeah.
like, I'm trying to, like I say, I know a lot of people as yourself, man, who are doing things. And like a lot of people don't have voices because everybody's trying to get in everybody else's circle. But I'm just kind of
Right.
like, why can't I be that bridge and leave
Right.
something and help other people like promote themselves and help them get to the
Right.
level of success that they do. And like, I still have I still have a job. I'm a realtor, and then, I work with a lot of people in construction and things like that.
Right.
But to be honest with you, man, like this, what I'm doing right now, man, is like one of the most satisfying things. Sometimes I find myself when I'm out in the field or when I'm
Yeah.
going from state to state or whatever.
Right.
All I can think about is like, how can I'll be strolling on Facebook and I'll be like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I know Damien, he's a surgeon. Let me get him on
Yeah.
so he can talk about like what he do and what service he provide. I got another frat brother who just
Yeah.
opened his own dental practice. I'm like, hey man, like, you can come on and just tell everybody what you do. And it's really
Right.
pretty much all about you and what you do and educating the people and helping them find the resources to get what they need. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. So instead, in a way, we kind of do the same thing, but a different way. Right.
Right.
We give people a
Mm-hmm.
voice to be heard, and a way to communicate and to kind of better position themselves in life, right? So, the idea of what you're doing is so great because I think more people need an opportunity to be seen, to be heard, to feel as though what they do matter. And
Right.
even though we may feel it and we may know it as entrepreneurs and as business people, it's always great to get an opportunity when somebody else sees it and say, "Hey, listen, let me amplify your voice because it
Right.
needs to be heard. It has you have something to say."
And
And
like I
that's a
tell
beautiful
people, I'm
thing.
like, this is not like a popularity thing to me. I'm like, if you got 3 followers and you're doing something good, like, let people
Right,
know what you do. It's like,
right,
I have really found a lot of fulfillment, man, and just like putting people on, man. I feel like, out of everything I've been through and every company that I've worked with, like, from Ralph Lauren and
right,
Brooks Brothers and all these other places where I've done all type of events, man. Like, all of that kind of helped me to learn how to do this and
right.
be that bridge and be that gap. Even when I was in Tuskegee, man,
Yeah,
like I'll tell people
yeah,
to go back to our throwing party days. We used to bring
yeah.
everybody in the whole school to our
Right,
like our apartments or whatever and stuff like
right.
that, man. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's like I've always wanted to be like to be that gap, to bridge that gap, man. And
yeah.
and it just makes you feel good inside when you do something. I guess that's why they say you should always join a charity and stuff like that,
Yep.
because when you do good for others, it makes you feel good mentally. You said
Right.
something that was really that kind of hit home earlier. You said
Mhm.
that yeah, you can have a lot of money, but what's the good of having money if you're not being fulfilled, man?
But
You know
yeah,
what I
you have to
mean?
live
And
your life have to have purpose.
yeah, like yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Like your life has purpose, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a very that's a very good statement, man. Your life
Yeah.
does have to have purpose because you can buy all the cars and all that, but in the end of the day, you just living. Like, like what is your purpose? What is your mission? And I feel like everybody has a mission, man. You know
Right.
what I mean? And
Right.
sometimes people don't listen. They try to do whatever they think that their mission is, but yeah, I think
Right.
everybody has a mission and a purpose.
Right. And I'll be honest with you, Trav. It's the a lot of time your purpose is in your pain, the things that you've gone through, the things that you
Oh
struggle with,
man.
that you understand and know for a fact that you can't be the only one dealing with this. And that's what opened the door to Man Cave. Because as I was kind of going through my dark place, going actually doing something about it to help other men was almost the therapy that I need when I couldn't afford therapy, when I
Oh
couldn't
man.
afford, because while all this is happening, I'm starting my business in 2019. I'm in a pandemic like everybody else, and I'm going through a divorce all at the same time. So there's a lot of weight that's happening in real time. Men go through this all the time. I
Yeah.
just had not experienced it, and I couldn't imagine not having any access to help or understanding without completely put myself exposed to the world as, hey, I'm in this poor state. But to have a resource, to have a place to go to say, hey, I don't that where you don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to give an account for why you're here. Just show up, sit down and learn, and just that opportunity and say, hey, listen, we're here to help. Call us if you need us. That's really what this is about. How do you help people in their darkest moment when you know that these moments happen?
Oh
So
man.
again, it was my dark place. It was my dark place to kind of help people. And now, man, it's the light in my life.
Man, that's
Yeah.
pretty inspirational, man. You're right about that, man. You really find yourself in your darkest moment. That's why they say in your darkest moment, your faith has to be as strong as it's kind of like in the Bible, the book of Job, man, when he had
Yeah.
everything and then everything was taken away, but he still had to believe and still keep going. And then he ended up being, blessed tenfold. And
Right.
it's and what a lot of people don't know, when you're trying to build your kingdom, man, and try to do something, it's gonna be a lot of times when it's just you by yourself, your thoughts and God, man.
Right.
And
Right.
you have a lot of you got that. I always tell people like if they ever seen that movie Lord of the Ring and they know of like Gollum when he had that voice in his
Uh-huh.
head saying like
Yeah.
they don't like you, nobody's gonna do this or whatever,
Yeah.
nobody's gonna
Yeah.
appreciate this. But then you got
Yeah.
the other voice saying like, man, you gotta keep going, you gotta keep going. So it's
Right.
like, which one is gonna win, man? You know what I
Right. Right.
mean? So
Right.
it's
Right.
just like,
Right.
because you got to feed that one. But when you by yourself, man, and I know I've been there, when you by yourself and ain't nobody around, your kids not around,
Right.
your wife not around, nobody's around, nobody's clapping for you, you get those thoughts of like, man, you almost kind of want to give up sometimes, man. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, is
And
it
I'm a,
worth it? Am I what I mean, like, why am I not
why am
like,
I
you know what
going
I'm
through this?
saying?
Yeah. Why
Right,
am I
yeah.
going through this? Why is this happening to me? And I'm gonna say one thing that kept me going, just from a personal standpoint, is the idea of, you know, I've always told my daughter this, that, when you're going through something, God is really asking you, can you be trusted? Can you be
Oh
trusted to
man.
do the last thing, or do the last thing I told you to do and the things I'm telling you to do? Can you be trusted to stick with me while I take you through? Because it talks about as you go through the valley of death. It don't talk about staying and pitching the tent. It's talking about as you
Right.
travel through, that means you're passing through. But can you be trusted? Can you be trusted at your lowest moment to stay consistent with me?
Wow,
Or will you
man.
turn into something else and become something else because you're afraid, because you're fearful? I
Yeah,
mean, that's what the
success
question
brings fear,
was.
man. I, I
Yeah,
I really didn't understand that. So I was trying to, do things that I was trying to do, like step
yeah,
outside my realm. And this is really, you know why? Because to be honest with you, everybody's afraid of what other people gonna think, but you can't even worry
right.
about that. You can't even
That's
care.
right.
You know what I'm
That's right.
saying? And that's the biggest
Right.
roadblock and the biggest obstacle is comparing
Right.
yourself to everybody else. Nobody's
Right.
gonna like this. Oh, you
Right.
know what I'm saying? And I think
Yep.
that hinders a lot of people with that fear, man.
Right.
To expound on what you just said, this one lady, and I would never forget it, man. She saw me, and I had just got out of a meeting that went really, really bad.
Hmm.
And I didn't really even know the lady, man. And we were just sitting down outside or whatever, and she
Right.
was just kind of like, no weapon against me shall prosper. She was
Right.
saying, and then she said this. She said, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. And then I was like, yeah, I know. She was like, but do you understand? She was like, God didn't say the weapon wouldn't
Not
form.
formed.
He
It'll
just
be
said it wouldn't
formed.
prosper. So the
Exactly.
weapons are gonna
Exactly.
form. You know what I'm
It's gonna
saying?
form.
You're gonna go through it, but
Yeah.
it ain't gonna prosper. And when she said that, I was like, that kind of blew my mind a little bit. I'm like,
Right.
dang, okay, now I
Right.
get it. I finally got with that no weapon. Cause most people think like, the weapons ain't gonna come at you, but he didn't say it won't form. He just said that they won't
Yep.
prosper. You know what I mean?
Well, common example. Look at Jesus' life. Did he come into this world and didn't have any trouble? No, he went through a
Right,
whole bunch of stuff. So
right,
you're no better than if you're no better than the Son of God. If you're no better than Him, what makes you think you're not going to go through it? And, and
right,
and so it is a trust to say I trusted Him with a mission, and He came through with that mission. And then like manna, I look at trouble as an opportunity to say, okay, God is asking me, can I be troubled? Can I be trusted with this trouble? Because the test is not when things are going well and great. The
right,
test is when you're at the bottom and your lowest low, and you can default to this other person. But
right.
to stay consistent in faith, and faith has nothing to do with how you feel. It's about obedience. It's about, because they talk about obedience is better than sacrifice, and that's why you have to sacrifice your will for His things that
Oh
He
man.
sacrifice your own for His. So again, when the God said, He said, in this life you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. That He letting you know that I didn't forget that you was gonna go through trouble. I didn't forget that. I'm just letting you know that if you can be trusted to go through with this, I want you to know that I have already overcome the world. So again, idea is that it ain't about God pulling us out, is that can we sustain who we should be as we travel through our dark place? And really we don't understand that it gives you a lot of power when you come out the other side, because you become a different person than you are when you go into something.
Man, yeah, you do, man.
That's just life,
Yeah,
man.
you
And
most
that's how it
definitely do.
is.
Yeah, because you change. You're not that old person anymore or whatever. You got those battle scars, and
Yeah,
you've been proven and things like that, man. And it's like
100%.
as I've gotten older and I look back on a lot of things, a lot of situations that I was in, like not like crazy, but just life, because
Just live.
life's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made me the person I am today, and I look back and like, okay, and now I can recognize situations now, and I know how better to deal with them, and I know how to adjust and control your emotions, because a lot of times it's all about people. People are panic and make drastic decisions, not thinking
Right.
clearly and stuff. So sometimes you
Right.
just got to step back and relax, man, and you got to hear God's voice, man, so you can make the best decision, so you won't do anything chaotic. You know what I mean? And that's hard to do too, man.
Keeping your emotions in check. And I'll tell you, what God revealed to me one day is so critical when He said, like He was speaking to me about, okay, if Curtis, if you wanted to develop somebody that was tough and resilient and that could overcome the world, and even though how would you build that person? Would you build them where they had a life full of ease and relaxation and no
Oh,
challenges and or would you put them through a training, just like you would if you wanted a great boxer? Will you put them through training where they're
oh, when you was
they're
playing football,
tried?
you were a linebacker, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
You don't get to be tough by taking it easy.
right.
You don't live a tough life by taking the easy route. And to your point, football really was the first teacher of that to me. Is that you can't be good without taking a few lumps. So
Oh
that's
yeah,
kind of
man,
how
and
I
believe
learned.
you me, I knew because I wasn't good at all, man. I was trash to be honest with you. But man, you
But
know what? Through it all though,
yeah,
like I played football my freshman year. I wasn't good, and I used to get like, "Oh, Travis, man, you're not good. You sorry, blah blah blah." But I stayed out there, man. I was just kind of like, you know what? I'm just gonna see it through. And then I came back out my junior year. And I really wasn't that good either. I knew I didn't want to like go be in the NFL. I mean, I love football, man, but
right.
you can like, but I was like, you know what, man? I said I
You
was
was a
gonna
pretty
come out.
boy. You was a pretty boy.
Yeah.
You had the local. You had the
I was like,
best.
but you know what though? It's like when you grow up in Alabama, man, it's just kind of like,
Yeah.
that
They don't
football
get it.
is
Yeah.
like people look at you weird. What, you ain't
Yeah.
play football? But like,
Right.
so I went out there and I was like, you know what, man? I don't care how hard it is. And some of those practices, I'm not gonna lie, I was
Yeah.
just like, man, why am I
Yeah.
out here? But I was like, you know what? I'm about to stick it through. I'm gonna stay the whole season,
Right.
whether I play or not. I'm gonna show up in practice and give it my all, man. And
Right.
to your point, football. And I didn't even start. I think I played one game, man, in the JV or whatever.
Yeah.
But man, football taught me a lot about endurance
Right.
and about working through it and following all the way through, man. And
Yeah.
believe it or not, and I tell people this all the time, like, yeah, I wasn't good at football, but I was like, football was one of the things that kind of changed my life. Even when I pledged
Right.
my fraternity and all that in college or whatever, it was just kind of like, I'm like, man, I survived 2 years of Coach Partridge at Huffman High School. I'm
Right.
like, and every time I get into something, man, I go back to those days or
Yeah.
whatever, the skinny little 14, 16-year-old or whatever,
Yeah.
trying to be a running back, getting
Yeah.
knocked all around by what's his name, Eric AG and all them other
Yeah. Yeah.
stud and
Bill.
all them
Yeah.
big guys and what
Yeah.
Ken Bell, I think that was his name
Craig.
or
Craig
whatever. Like,
Bill.
yeah,
Yeah.
all those big guys or whatever, man. And I'm just like, I just stayed
Right.
out there and I just kept doing it and kept going, man. You know what I mean? So yeah, you're right, man. You have to go through like the fire sometimes, man, in order to come out on top.
Yeah, listen, those are all been pivot points in my life. When I've been able to go through something and come out, those have been areas that I remember. I don't remember the great times as much as I do those taxing times where I could have went left and it went right. And it was because of what you go through, like in football. It
Right.
tests what they call testing your meta, right?
Yeah.
So that's a real thing. So
So how can people how can people get it and get in touch with you, or like do y'all have a hotline or something like that, or like yeah, so how can they get in touch with you business wise, hotline wise, to find out where y'all are gonna be, or what are y'all doing and things like that.
I would say check us out on the web first. It's Access Recovery, A as in AXIS, AXIS recovery.org. So it's A as in Apple, X as in X-ray, recovery.org. And also, we have a tab there called Man Cave. You can click that tab. It'll open up to a page where it has a lot of video from past events. It has a lot of testimonials from people who attended. They'll tell you what they thought about it and how it helped them. Also, we'll put out dates and stuff on that same website on that tab. My phone number direct is 205-530-4645. That's my business line. And of course, my email address is C as in cat, then Cannon, at accessrecovery.org. That's my direct email. And what I tend to do is I'll update the website. If we have an event coming up, we have something coming up in your city, we'll make it known. Please check us out. And if you have a specific request around business, email me. I'll be happy to talk to you about that.
Okay. Yeah. So make sure you guys check out Curtis, man. He's doing some really big things when it comes to awareness and mental health. And once again, that's accessrecovery .org, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, accessrecovery.org, and that's AXIS recovery.org.
That's correct.
And you go to the page and you'll be able to find out everything that about the company and what they're
Everything that
doing.
we do. Yeah.
Yeah, everything that they do, everything
Yeah.
they do. Hey man, so I appreciate you coming out, man. I would love to have you back on and do another
Yeah.
segment, man, because this is very
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. It's
I
a
didn't
lot to
know.
unpack.
I didn't know the extent of what you did, man, but
Yeah.
this is very, very interesting and things like that, man. So we'll definitely schedule another date to have you back on. And once again, thanks for coming out, man. And like I always end it, man, make sure everybody out there keep it country, keep it cowboy, and God bless America. Appreciate you,
Thank
Kurt.
you. Thank you. Thanks, Travis.